And we'll just move Lindsay up.
First meeting, go.
Yeah, I had to, when I was my first meeting I had to participate in.
When you came right up here.
Remember, I was up here for the first time, then I was there for like one time, and then,
We're back.
yep.
Want to switch her out? It's 6:30, so let's go ahead and switch out the nameplates and have Lindsay move up.
Welcome.
It's up to you. Not at all.
Baptism by fire, huh?
We're back and Holly shows up. We're back and Holly shows up.
We're ready. Tell me when you're ready.
We can always put her there.
I now call this meeting of the City of Safety Harbor Code Enforcement Board to order this 15th day of October 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, the City of Safety Harbor's Code Enforcement Board is charged with conducting hearings to determine whether an alleged violation of our city code has occurred. In order to meet that obligation, all parties or their representatives will be allowed a full opportunity to be heard on all matters relevant to the alleged violation. All parties and their representatives and/or witnesses offering testimony or presenting evidence will be required to swear or affirm that the testimony they provide is the truth. The order of presentation will begin with the city presenting their evidence of the alleged code violation. The respondent shall then present their case following the conclusion of the city's presentation. Both parties shall have an opportunity to cross-examine all witnesses called by the opposing party. The board and its attorney may question any party or witness called to testify by either party. Upon completion of the evidentiary phase, both sides are allowed an opportunity to summarize their respective cases. The board will then only openly deliberate considering the evidence presented, the law, and common knowledge. By motion, an order approved by at least 4 board members will be issued, and within 10 days reduced to writing and mailed to the respondent. The order will contain findings of fact, conclusions of law, and affirmative relief to be taken. In a few moments, the code enforcement clerk will announce the names of the cases as listed on the agenda. When you hear your case called, please respond by coming to the podium with your representative and any witnesses to be sworn in. Ms. Danny, roll call please.
Beth Cardenas.
Present.
Carmen Lundy.
Here.
Lindsay Schaefer.
Here.
Christina Jackson.
Present.
Jeff Dahl.
Here.
Tom Shea.
Here.
Brian Hack.
Here.
You. Welcome, Ms. Lindsay. Thank you for your service. We have respondents here to be sworn in, and Mr. Bush is. You want to go ahead and swear them in first, and then we'll go
Sure,
over the
I'd be happy
minutes?
to. Anyone that's going to speak tonight, you can stand, raise your right hand. I need to swear you under oath. Anyone that's going to speak, are you going to speak back there? No? You swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Okay, thank you.
If we could get a motion on our minutes from our last meeting, September 17th, 2025.
I move to approve the minutes of October, or September 17th.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shea, for the
I'll
first.
second it.
Mr. Dahl for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Any changes to the order of the cases? Okay. Ms. Bandy, when you're ready.
Okay, under new business, case number 1, CB 24-0284, City of Safety Harbor versus Matthew James and Hannah Claire Giuffre Stewart, 112 Timberview Drive.
Good evening, my name is Paul Bushy, Community Compliance Officer for the City of Safety Harbor. I am state certified in the fundamentals of code enforcement, administrative aspects of code enforcement, and the legal aspects of code enforcement. This case, number 24-0284, involves the property of 112 Timberview Drive, Safety Harbor, Florida. The city offers printouts of the entry of this property from the Pinellas County Tax Collector and property appraisers' websites and evidence. The printouts show the property is owned by Matthew James Stewart and Hannah Claire Jeffrey Stewart. This is a homestead property. There are no objections.
The board accepts.
In response to a staff complaint, an investigative report of soil in the roadway. Inspection shows a significant amount of soil, as well as unpermitted excavation and fill work and a pergola-style porch cover, all done without the required permits. The property owners have been working with the Safety Harbor Engineering Department towards after-the-fact permits for the work, as well as for additional work performed since the notice of violation was issued. Despite their efforts, no permits have been issued, and the city will ask the board to order a date certain for the respondents to obtain the necessary permits for the work. I'd like to present some photos with the board's approval.
Thank you.
There are no objections.
Board accepts.
This is the property, the soil is no longer in violation. That was removed pretty quickly, so we did delete those from the violations. This is the building over the porch. That's what it looks like in 2025, and 2019, you can see it wasn't there. And you can see through the fence here, there is some excavation happening there, and does require a permit. And then the additional driveway was built, and again, the respondents are working towards a permit for that as well. And these pictures aren't dated on the photos, but they were all taken on October 3rd. A notice of violation was mailed USPS certified, and a copy was mailed USPS first class notifying the property owners of the violation on November 21st, 2024. The notice included the appropriate code sections and offered 14 days to bring the property into compliance. The city offers the notice and the USPS proof of mailing into evidence with the approval of the board. There are no objections.
Board accepts.
On October 3rd, 2025, more than 10 days prior to today, Code Enforcement Board Clerk Elizabeth Bandy mailed a notice of hearing to Matthew James Stewart and Hannah Claire Jeffrey Stewart, certified mail, with an additional copy mailed USPS first class. Copies of this notice were also posted at the property and at City Hall. The notice cited the appropriate code sections and the date of the hearing. The city offers the affidavit of posting, the notice of hearing, and the USPS proof of mailing into evidence with the board's approval. There are no objections.
Board accepts.
The violations remain as of this morning, October 15, 2025. Administrative costs to prosecute include at least 9 hours of the code compliance officer's time and at least 16 hours of the code enforcement board clerk's time for total administrative costs of at least $410. The city asks the code enforcement board to find the property owners, Matthew James Stewart and Hannah Claire Jeffrey Stewart, in violation of sections 59, subsection A, and 231, subsection A of the Safety Harbor Land Development Code. It is the staff recommendation that in addition to the administrative costs of $410, the city asks the board to find the respondents in violation of the above ordinances and allow an additional 61 days to bring the property into compliance. If not achieved, impose a fine of $150 per day, starting on Monday, December 15, 2025, and continuing until the property has been brought into compliance. The city also requests that the board set aside the $410 in prosecution costs if compliance is achieved by the date ordered. Thank you. And I'd just like to add to the board that we're requesting that because the respondents have made good faith efforts to do this. They've been trying to do it on their own, and I think they'd like to speak to the board in that respect, but the effort has been there and just haven't been able to get over the finish line. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bushy, for your testimony.
Remain for questions if there are any.
Do you have one? Chair recognizes Ms. Cardenas.
Mr. Bushy, I've been looking at all the documents as they've gone by, and can you clarify very quickly the timeline? Because I saw a notice dated October of last year, and then photos dated March of this year, so can you just very
We've
quickly?
been monitoring it since then.
Okay.
But again, the response will work with our engineering department to try to get these permits issued. And
Okay, but the initial issue was back in
was
October of last year?
I believe it was September of
Okay.
2024. Yeah.
Gotcha, thank you.
It's been a journey.
Gotcha.
Additional questions for Mr. Bushy?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Lundy?
Curious, why has it been a journey?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Why has it been a journey to get permits?
Just the items required by engineering to get this going, and the response has been trying to do it themselves, and I think they recognize at this point that they need some professional help from contractors to push this over the finish line.
They've been doing the work themselves?
Yes. Yeah, I think they can give you a better,
Because I'm just wondering what the doing the work got to do with getting the permit.
sometimes permits can be tricky and people don't know how to write the scope of work and what they're
Okay.
doing and what engineering requires.
No further questions for Mr. Bushy? Okay, thank you. At this time, respondents, if you've been sworn in, you can come forward to the podium and ask Mr. Bushy in the form of a question, anything related to his testimony that he gave. If you don't have questions.
No questions.
Okay, we'll move into your testimony, and this is where you can share with the board your journey, as they've
Good
called
evening,
it.
respective board members. My name is Matthew Stewart. I'm a lifelong resident of Safety Harbor. That's my wife, Hannah. We started this project a little over a year ago. This is the need for this whole excavation and fill, along with the fence, is to mitigate backfilling that was done by the neighboring property along ours. There was no retention effort designed when backfill was initiated. So during the 2024 hurricane season, Milton and Helene, we did end up losing our entire fence. And with that, backfill started coming in. There was a difference in height and land leveling that started to come encroach onto our property line. So we, at that point, essentially worked to pull out the existing fill that had moved over and establish some sort of retention wall in order to mitigate any additional landfill loss from the neighboring property. If you saw in the photos, you'll see where there is the corrugated steel. Those sheets were designed to help keep that homeowner's property, land in place. In addition to that, over the last year, since August of 2024, we've been dealing with personal losses. I lost my mother to a battle with pancreatic cancer. 6 months earlier, I lost my maternal grandmother, and then my wife, unfortunately, just recently lost one of her cousins and her grandfather over the last 10 months of 2025. So we've been dealing with some personal issues and trying to support our additional family, which has limited our scope of capacity in managing this project. Our intention was essentially to create a retention wall to mitigate any sort of additional fill loss for our neighbors, we wanted to avoid any sort of civil litigation as much as possible. There's no sort of animosity, but to avoid having to bring them into some sort of legal debacle, we've tried to avoid that as much as possible and just address the issue ourselves. There's no issue between us and our neighbors with the work that's been done. I think they've been overall appreciative of us trying to resolve the issue. And again, we're trying to do it out of our pocket based on an issue that they initially started. At this point, we have had 3 fencing companies come out to address the work since we were notified this past month by Mr. Bushy and the Code Enforcement Board. We're in the process of getting pricing to mitigate and either replace the entire fence line or continue with finalizing the existing fence line. But our goal essentially is to create a 6-foot fence from the highest point of our property line that runs the entire back southwest perimeter line. Unfortunately, because of the fill variation, there's about a 3 or 4 foot height variance between our ground and our neighbor's ground as far as the levels. So we are trying to make sure that the fence is also 6 feet on their side as well too, and our property line slopes to a downward degree. So in some sections, our fences, it ends up getting to a point of about 8 or 9 feet, I would say, in order to mitigate the extra height for our neighbor to make sure that they have a 6-foot fence as well too. So essentially, we are just looking to complete that and either fulfilling the existing fence as it's being built out, or obviously tearing that down and having a professional company come in to finish the rest. And quite frankly, they would also be finishing if we maintain the existing fence, we'll have a professional company come in to finish the existing fence and finalize the permit. We do have a fencing permit with the engineering team currently. It was partially approved. We needed to make some amendments to it in order to fulfill city obligations. So I was just wanting to make sure we have that in order before we move forward. Thank you for your time.
I have a question. So we talked about the fence. We saw photos of a porch and of an overhang. The respondent is aware of those as well and is also working with the city. Do you want to give testimony on those projects?
Yes, we had that installed. That was, although it is built into the central atrium area, the central entry of our home, it is a freestanding structure. It's not attached to any of the walls or the actual the frame of the house itself. I was under the impression that wooden structures and platforms under a certain size did not require a permit, which was why we went forward with building that structure. However, if there is permitting required, we obviously can work to have that resolved as well too. That's no issue for us.
Another question, are you currently working with city engineers on figuring out if
Absolutely.
you need those, or are you only working with the fence at this
Well, we've
time?
been working on the excavation and fill and the fence primarily.
Okay, so you haven't had discussions about those two pieces to confirm
Not-
after the fact
not-
permits at
yeah,
this point?
Not
Okay.
the gazebo, no.
Additional question, you said you don't have any issues with the neighbors. Are you aware, based on survey requirements, that the neighbor may also need to look at pulling a permit for the property, depending on what comes through with the fence and the excavation?
Yeah, no, in our efforts, we did reach out, I've personally gone to, I've tried to engage with them on a face-to-face level. We've also provided letters, just to let them know what we were intending to do. They have been relatively unresponsive, and not in a hostile or aggressive manner, just not really participatory and willing to engage. When we did have engineering come out and view the site and take some tours, they seemed observant and aware that there was not really a participating effort from the adjoining property owner.
Then I think the last leading question, and then I'll open it up for other board members, timing. So based on everything that we've just kind of talked about, how much time, the city said 61 days, which is December 15th, for all of the code violations that we're looking at? What do you think in terms of time?
Yeah, well, I think we would, realistically, I have one quote. I'm waiting for two others currently to come in. I would like to determine what their availability is, these construction teams. But if we can have the fence installed between now and, December 15th, ideally, that would, I would like to adhere to the request of the board as much as possible. I don't know if an extension to 91 days is possible, given it's the holiday season. I know that there's limited capacity with, certain industries, but I'm confident that we could get it done in 61 days realistically. So that, yeah, my request would be to be able to finalize the permitting and the actual, review and work and have it all completed by December 15th.
I don't have any further questions. I yield. Any additional board members? Questions for the respondent? Okay. No questions. Okay. Do we have any questions from the city?
No further questions.
No further questions. Okay. At this time, summary for the case, or do you waive?
I mean, as Mr. Bushi stated before, these are, after the fact permits, but the city has no objections to the 61 days that we spoke about. And the relevant code provisions are going to be that section 59 for the violation and 231 for the building permits. So we have the excavation and fill and the building permits.
Do you?
Ms. Jackson, to your point, perhaps 91 days might make more sense given the holidays. I did not factor it into my request.
I don't have the January calendar.
It'd be another 30 days, so it'd be January 15th.
Is that on a weekday? Is that before board meeting hearings?
It really wouldn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter. Okay.
It's a Thursday. The original date was a Monday. If you want the
I just
following,
said 61 days because the 60th fell on a Sunday, so.
Yeah, so it's during a weekday. Okay. So that's fine. Okay. You basically did your summary. Do you want to summarize again? It's up to you.
Would you like, no, I think
Okay.
you all understand the
Yeah.
narrative, but if you'd like if you have any additional questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, I'll allow it. You can ask him. Based on the new timing, you can ask.
I just wanted to ask Mr. Bush a question. The way the ordinance is set up, after permit, do we normally allow someone to continue working on a project without the permit already approved?
Engineering did not put a stop work order on. I think they wanted them to stabilize that work they had done.
So that was from the city allowing it.
And once these permits are issued, then the violation is cured.
Great. Very good. So that'll be closing final comments for the respondent. You may have a seat. Any public comment on the case? Okay, we'll close public comments. If we could have a motion by one board member, a second, and then we'll go in order of discussion before a roll call vote.
I'll move.
Thank you, Mr. Dahl.
I move that based on the testimony and evidence presented and based upon these findings as a matter of law, that at the time of the alleged violations of Section 59 Sub A and 231 Sub A of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Safety Harbor were in effect. The respondents were in violation of their, the respondents shall have until the 15th day of January 2026 to come into compliance with the code sections, or a fine of $410 per, a fine of $150 per day shall be imposed for each day thereafter the respondents remain in violation of said code, and to award the City of Safety Harbor $410 for the cost incurred in this prosecution, which will be waived if they come into compliance prior to 15 January 2026.
Second the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Lundy?
Hypothetics. The city is already working with them, allowing them this grace time. 1 year, now 90 more days. But the city is allowing it without a permit. So if they still don't comply and the city is allowing without a permit, do we just overlook this and let the city keep allowing without a permit?
You're asking just like a general how it, so when they come forward for like their compliance hearing, compliance or not?
Correct. So they still haven't received their permit because they're working with the engineering department because it's something that they've fallen short. So now we just fine them, even though the city has already allowed this to go on for over a year?
I think it's a matter of eventually getting to an end state that solves the problem. And I think the city was, in my mind, based on the testimony, was appreciative of the fact that they were trying to mitigate what appeared to be, both a landfill and drainage problem. And it was in both of their best interests to allow it to continue. So I said, okay, I understand that, and that's good. But at some point, you got to come into compliance with the code. And I think what the city is asking is, in my interpretation, is now we got to come into code, okay? I worked with you, it was the right thing, but, time's up. We got to bring this to a conclusion so we can move on. That's just my interpretation of it. I don't know.
And that's our interpretation of it, and we're saying that. But what if the city is not saying that? Suppose the city is still allowed them to continue. We're saying that, but the city is not saying that.
But eventually, the city will give them firm guidance to say, here's where the posts need to be, or here's how high the fence can be. Eventually, that will be reconciled, and we have a resident who's saying, I have contractors that are willing to comply with that. So, there is some concession where the two will eventually meet, I would think. But would you be, I'm not sure, I guess the long-term concern, would you be more comfortable with additional time or a lower fee or something to not burden the resident because of the city's challenges?
The thing about it is, we don't want to set them up for failure.
No, I agree completely. And I
You know
don't
what I'm saying?
want to
Because the
penalize
city
them
has allowed it.
Right.
And now, all of a sudden, you're going to pull your pacifier from them because they don't comply,
Right.
because they may, Lord forbid, have other reasons why they can't. So where does this fall in that point? Now, if the city is saying, oh, we still understand, but the Code Enforcement Board has said, but we're going to fine you.
Well,
The fines don't start until the compliance
Exactly.
hearing. So at that time, it comes before us again, and if they're still having issues between both parties, it comes before us, and at that time, we can extend more time, we can look at it again. But what I heard Mr. Bushy say in his opening testimony, which he's saying we need a date, the city is asking for a date to like get this concrete and get it moving. There could be a couple different red tape reasons why they need that date, which again, that wasn't part of the testimony. But the city did ask for a date, and that's why they brought it forward.
It
So,
works out.
yeah, but
Okay.
I completely get what you're coming from, in terms of,
And the city made it clear in their testimony that if you gain the permits, it
over.
it answers the code violation, and it's gone. The work may still go on after the permit is provided, but the permit is the requirement. Once you have it, if it takes another 90 days to perform the work, well, knock yourself out. You're not in violation of anything. So continue. So I don't see this as bad. I just see this as a, come on, let's get to the end, right? And I'm good with that.
And I think the city was reasonable in saying we're going to even waive the fees once they come into compliance for the 410, right? Like, at the end of the day, if this works out, they will walk away with no bill. Everything will be done to code. Like, I think
And I'm
that's the
fine with it all. I just don't want us to set them up
No, I'm with
for
you.
a point, here we are, January,
yeah.
and the city is still showing that grace, and we trying to find them.
Right.
I mean, come the compliance hearing in the past, we've listened to reasons why it should be extended further, and they should still have that opportunity at that point in time if something else,
Yeah.
if we have another Milton come through or,
And that's what I wanted to hear.
right, I mean, if there's more extenuating circumstances, we have in the past moved the compliance date out.
Okay.
Good discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. Other comments? Take it to a roll call, please.
Beth Cardenas?
Aye.
Carmen Lundy,
Aye.
Lindsay Schaefer,
Aye.
Christina Jackson,
Aye.
Jeff Dahl.
Aye.
Tom Shay.
Aye.
Brian Hack.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Trask, would you like to summarize for the respondents?
Sure. So the Code Enforcement Board has found you in violation of the two cited code sections. Code Enforcement Board has ordered you to bring the property into compliance by January 15, 2026. Should you fail to bring the property into compliance by that date, a $150 a day fine will begin to run. The city has been awarded $410 in prosecution costs for bringing the case forward. If you bring the case in, the property into compliance by January 15th, the city or the Code Enforcement Board is going to waive those prosecution costs. If you get it done on January 16th, you're going to still pay the $410 in costs, okay? The Code Enforcement clerk will prepare the order. It will be signed by the chair within about the next 10 days, and you'll be receiving a copy of that by mail. Do you have any questions? Okay.
Thank you very much. Mr. and Ms. Stewart, you're welcome to stay if you'd like, but your case is over. So you're free to leave the galley, or you can stay for the rest of the meeting. Your choice.
Okay. Case number 2, CEB 25-0497, City of Safety Harbor versus SRP Sub LLC, 3 Octavia Way.
Good evening, my name is Paul Bushy, Community Compliance Officer for the City of Safety Harbor. I am state certified in the fundamentals of code enforcement, administrative aspects of code enforcement, and the legal aspects of code enforcement. This case, number 24-0497, involves the property at 3 Octavia Way, Safety Harbor, Florida. The city offers printouts of the entry of this property from the Pinellas County Tax Collector and Property Appraiser's websites into evidence. The printouts show the property is owned by SRP Sub LLC. This is not a homestead property, and there are no respondents here this evening.
Thank you.
With the board's approval?
Board accepts.
In response to a complaint from the resident of the property, I investigated a report of work without permits performed on the property. Inspection shows significant unpermitted work on the property without the necessary permits. The Pinellas County Contractor Licensing Board is also conducting an investigation for work without permits, as well as an investigation for unlicensed contractors working at the property. The county inspector has issued citations to contractors for working without permits. No citations to the property owner have yet been issued by the Pinellas County Contractors Licensing Board. As of this morning, October 15, 2025, there has been no contact from the property owners and no permit applications have been submitted. I'd like to present photos of the property and the violations to the board with the board's approval.
Board accepts.
This is the condition of property on it. Rod, you'd see the gentleman on the roof performing some repairs that do require a permit to the exterior of the building. And you can see there was some water intrusion through the casing. And they did finish the work. This is the interior of the property. The woman in the front is the Pinellas County Contractor Licensing Board investigator. And they began the repairs of the bathroom, again without permits. And this is just the stop work order the county placed on the property. A notice of violation was mailed USPS certified return, and a copy was mailed USPS first class, notifying the property owner of the violations on September 5th, 2025. The notice included the appropriate code section and offered 21 days to bring the property into compliance. The city offers the notice of violation and the USPS proof of mailing into evidence.
Board accepts.
On October 3rd, 2025, more than 10 days prior to today, Code Enforcement Board Clerk Elizabeth Bandy mailed a notice of hearing to SRP Sub LLC certified mail with an additional copy mailed to USPS first class. Copies of this notice were also posted at the property and at City Hall. The notice cited the appropriate code sections and the date of the hearing. The city offers the affidavit of posting, the notice of hearing, and the return receipt in evidence with the board's approval.
Board accepts.
The violations remain as of this morning, October 15, 2025. Administrative costs to prosecute include at least 9 hours of the code compliance officer's time and at least 16 hours of the Code Enforcement Board clerk's time for a total administrative cost of at least $410. The city asked the Code Enforcement Board to find the property owner, SRP Sub LLC, in violation of Section 231, subsection A of the Safety Harbor Land Development Code. It is a staff recommendation that in addition to the administrative cost of $410, the city asks the board to find a respondent in violation of the above ordinance and allow an additional 61 days to bring the property into compliance. If not achieved, impose a fine of $200 per day, starting on Monday, December 15, 2025, and continue until the property has been brought into compliance.
All set.
If there are any questions, I'll go ahead.
I have a couple.
And I would like to tell the board that the resident of the property, I believe, has moved out, but they are here tonight. If the board has any questions for them, we don't intend to call them as witnesses.
Okay. Just to
The
clarify.
residents that are living in the property, so,
They are still living there.
so the home is a lease or rental?
Yes.
Gotcha.
You stated that the resident at the property made it, the complaint in September when the work was started. That's the story you've heard, since we're not calling them as a witness. Okay. That was one of the questions. The work stoppage, to your knowledge, has any additional contracting? Is the bathroom in the same state, meaning there's no bathroom usage with that shower at this point, to your knowledge? That the work has stopped?
I'm not sure. I think that would be a question for the resident.
We're not calling them as a witness. They're not sworn in. Okay. Okay.
And I know the Pinellas County Licensing Board investigator did respond to additional work after she put the stop work order.
She did, okay. So work has continued, to your knowledge,
Yes, I-
based on what Pinellas County is telling you. Okay, that was my final question. Ms. Cardenas?
Already addressed.
No question? Questions from Mr. Shea or Mr. Hack, from Mr. Bushy? Okay,
No.
okay. Thank you very much. We have no respondents here, no public comments. Okay. Comments are closed. Could we have a board member make a motion?
I'll move. I move that based on the testimony and evidence presented let me restart. I move that based on the testimony and evidence presented and based upon the findings as a matter of law, that at the time of the alleged allegations, Section 231A of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Safety Harbor was in full force and effect. The respondents was in violation thereof. The respondent shall have until December 15th, or the 15th day of December 2025 to come into compliance of this section or face a fine of $200 per day shall be imposed thereafter. The respondent shall remain in violation of the code enforcement sections and award the city $410 for the prosecution of this case.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. Do we have a second motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Dahl. Discussion, Mr. Shea or Mr. Dahl?
Kind of speaks for itself.
Concur.
Any other discussions? Ms. Cardenas?
I'm just going to throw it out there, just a question, just for thought. I know this is the recommendation from the city, but do we feel that it's pressuring enough to get this property into compliance? I mean, they're living there, and we don't really know the state, but you want to be in a home where you feel safe, that everything was done to code, and you have functioning bathrooms and everything. So do we think, all respect to the city, that this recommendation is forceful enough upon this landlord?
I had a similar
this owner?
thought, and then when the $200 kind of balanced it out in my head, but I thought the same thing, like
Yeah.
31 days, then $100, 31, 150, like considering that it's a sub LLC, I think money is more in this
Yeah.
case. So I was okay with, like, but I did have the same, like, doing the mom math in my head real quick. You know, like, what's going to get it resolved? And that's why I asked the question, do they have a bathroom?
Yeah,
To your
yeah,
knowledge.
yeah.
You know, because I was thinking the same.
We have no response and no permit submitted. This is not going to move quick. It's not going to be resolved. I mean, we have a resident before this in a case who's been working for a year to get a permit. This
Yeah.
is not going to fix itself in either, to be honest. But the only thing that moves a company like this that's not responding, they have money to send people out, but they're not responding to this. Like,
Yeah,
it's the only thing that's
exactly.
going to get their attention, to your point, is
Yeah,
money.
I just want to make sure the attention is gotten,
Yeah, no, I'm
the
with you.
pressure is on.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Not that I'm disagreeing with the motion in any way,
No,
but,
no,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think 61's about right.
Okay.
30 days is a tight window
Mm-hmm.
for a permit, which, you know, it's got to be filed through the city, and then it's got to, I think this permit goes through the county.
This one does, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then the county's got to come out, you know, and, you know, the paperwork, and
Yeah.
You know, none of that happens really rapidly, right? So you got to plan ahead of time for that. So I think it's reasonable, and I think the fine amount is reasonable too, as, yeah,
No, you're fine, as we discussed, yes.
as we discussed.
As we discussed, yes.
Okay.
You ever forgot somebody's name in mid-stroke?
Don't do that.
Christina.
Okay. So anyway, I mean, I think it's a reasonable approach to bring this into compliance. I mean, I would hate it too if, you know, if I had a shower or a bathroom.
Right.
And, you know, it's ripped down, you know, to nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it would drive you nuts and you'd want to get it done as quickly as possible.
Right.
So I got it.
I think it's reasonable to, you know, the emotion, but the idea, when we say reasonable, 60 days, well, how many days have they had prior that they haven't done anything?
Thing.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, giving them that grace, it is reasonable when you're dealing with reasonable,
Right.
considerating people.
Right.
You know, but obviously, they have not really been too reasonable themselves.
I think the notice was, as the city testimony indicated, was 3 October. Is when the
Or
notice
they just got notified.
of the violation. Of the hearing. The violation was,
Was,
I don't remember the date.
September 5th.
Okay, so yeah, well, Carmen here might be right. They've already had about 60 days to do something, and if there's nothing been done.
And still
you
not
know,
showing up, you
They're not working
know.
with, again, our previous case, they're working with the city. They're already,
Got folks on the property,
It'd be different if there was, contact. I don't know.
no contact. Have they been working with the city? Have the city heard from them?
Do we want to amend the motion?
I'm more than willing to amend the motion and drop it to 30 days.
To get some
Beth?
conversation.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm fine with 60 or 30. I like to the point, though, that they've already had a month plus.
Yeah. Almost
And, I mean,
two.
the county's been out there. It's not like, you know, a previous case where work was done and they didn't really know or whatever. I mean,
It's true,
they
too.
had the county there already. We're already beyond 30 days.
that would be potentially criminal, so.
Yeah.
I would be good with 30. I mean, just to get some pressure on it.
Yeah, the only reason I went with 61 was because that was the recommendation of our petitioner or the city,
What would that back it up to?
November 14th, which is a Friday. Friday after Veterans Day.
And to the point we made in the previous case, I mean, if this respondent came in 30 days or so and said, look, I've applied, I'm working, but we
Say
can always,
something.
you know, extend, but,
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, once they get the permits pulled, they're in compliance.
exactly.
And if they're not, action could be taken for the residents sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, whatever you're comfortable, I'm good either way.
So am I.
Okay, I'll amend it to 30 days, and they'll need to be in compliance by November 14th of 2025.
I think I seconded it, so I'll second your amendment.
You did. Thank you. Okay. Any discussion on the new motion? Okay. Ms. Gandy?
Beth Cardenas?
Aye.
Carmen Lundy,
Aye.
Lindsay Schaefer?
Aye.
Christina Jackson?
Aye.
Jeff Dahl?
Aye.
Tom Shea?
Aye.
Brian Hack?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. No need to summarize. There's no respondents here.
For the residents, perhaps, then?
We could, for the residents, yes. Thank you, Mr. Hack.
So just so that you know, your landlord has been found in violation of the cited code section. Your landlord has until November 14th, 2025 to bring the property into compliance. Should they fail to bring the property into compliance by that date, a fine of $200 a day will begin to run. The city has also been awarded $410 in prosecution costs. Those will not be waived no matter what, as you heard in the previous case. There will be an order entered within about the next 10 days and sent to the landlord at the address listed by the property appraiser's office. Do you have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay. We do have a section for public comments, if any comments. Okay, very good. Yeah. Ms. Lindsay, I did welcome you in the beginning, correct? Yes. Yes, okay, just want to make sure, yes. Very good. Welcome again, thank you. Thank you for serving tonight.
It was not very memorable.
No, I think I said, welcome and thank you for your service as she moved up.
Consider
Yes.
peer. Right. Yeah, that was, yeah.
That's why it wasn't memorable.
Hello, welcome, and let's go. Okay, any additional board member comments? No? Okay, all right, meeting.
Before you read, do you have something you want to say?
Yes, I'd just like to inform the board that my last day with the city will be November 5th. So I hate that this is our last code board together, but I've really enjoyed appearing before you, and I thank you all for your service, and I know you'll be in good hands going forward.
You will be missed.
Aw.
Thank you.
Oh.
Well, Paul,
Any
we're going to miss
comments
you.
for Mr. Bushy with that?
I just want to say, as you said to her, thank you. You are very, first of all, personality-wise, I enjoy your scratching of the head all the time. Your wife is beautiful, meeting her, and I commend you on the job of serving the city, because you're very detailed, and I know you're an honest man.
Model of professionalism, too. I admire your character and professionalism, yes.
Yeah, I wish you the best. It's a huge loss for the city. You're an amazing asset to the city, and we're all going to really miss you, I'm sure. I'm really going to miss you. So thank you for everything. Thank you for making us have such a wonderful community all the years you served.
I, of all the board members, appreciate what you have done for the city. And I just want to let you know that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciate everything. I also want to say I appreciate everything you've done. I mean, you've been the model of professionalism that's been repeated here. I've seen you under attack recently, and it's just the way you held yourself out, you held yourself out very well.
I just want to say he hates all of this. And I'm going to miss him a lot, so that's all.
No, no further comments on that. We adjourn at 7:22. Thank you.